here today, so he won't be here. Totaling his car, I guess. No. So you're dealing with that. So we'll start off with the September meeting minutes. I don't know if anybody got a chance to look at them. Martha did them. Thank you, Martha. And I forwarded around to everybody. So does anybody have any comments, changes? Okay, we should publicly final.
Yep.
Okay, we can send those to Nikki and have her remind her on the webpage. You can do it and just tell her that they're, I think that's how we did it, right?
Yeah, just mark them final and send them as a PDF. Awesome. You do in Word? Well, you try.
Well, you know what, do we have that form, you can, that form? You know, the form that Adam put together? Wonder if you could- Yeah, maybe Adam can send that around again.
Yeah, I think.
And then I wonder if you can cut and paste and put in that form or,
You still have to save it as a PDF.
oh, right, yeah, okay.
I mean, a Word will, you can, as long as you do it in Word, you're all set.
If you do it in Word, you could save it as a PDF.
Right, yeah. Well, I guess two things, as a minimum, you can send it this way and see what Nikki says, and then if that's not right, then we can, so one of us can take it and copy and paste it into a PDF.
And I guess we should be sending her the draft minutes too, before they're finalized. So I think it's like 10 days after the meeting.
Right, yeah,
So they should go out to her in draft form, and then
God, now I'm gonna have to do work.
when they're finalized, you just make any changes and mark them final and send them back.
Does she post the draft ones? Oh, she does.
yeah.
Okay.
So that would be good. I mean, I guess worst case, worst, we could take it, and if somebody didn't have the form to do on a computer, you could do it by hand and take a picture of it and send it to her. Kind of- It's not the best way, but I'm just trying to think of.
I get a little sloppy and look a little funky.
Yeah, probably will, yeah. I'm just trying to think of an easy way to do it for the people who have. People that was it. All right. Thanks. And following yours, the secretary.
Yes, I am.
Thank you very much.
I am recording.
Good, we appreciate that. Updates, for me, I just had one thing I want to mention is that. I think everybody got this email about harassment and discrimination training. So there's one on October 12th. It's 45 minutes long. All you do is sign up, listen to it, and they send you a certificate. So if they haven't done that yet, please do that, because otherwise we're gonna be reminded every month that we all need to do that. I guess it's a requirement for anybody that's on the town.
It's
Committee
the
to it.
dullest 45 minutes of my life.
Yeah. Outstanding. The 12th, it's at 9 AM.
A little more.
Yeah, and there's one every month. I think the one I went to was same time.
Mine wasn't at 9 o'clock.
No.
I don't think so.
Mine was in the morning.
It might have been, but you know, I, okay.
Yeah, so there will be one every month, but it doesn't seem like there's one that you can go and just do on your own. You have to register and they have to send you a link.
And they actually know if you're there.
Right.
You have to do it from the machine or the device you registered from.
Oh,
So
okay.
that,
And they're good. And then sometimes they ask you to answer something. So they know you're still there and not
That's
in
just-
the other room making coffee.
Yeah,
It's like, gee.
so everybody please try to do that because
You know when the next one is?
the 12.
well, I don't know, if you go to that website, it might tell you.
For the record, you can knit through it.
All the screen now.
No.
As long as you're listening, as long as you're listening. All right. That's all I had as far as updates. Kathy, do you have anything you want to answer updates?
I don't, just a question, are you all square with the trees? You've been,
Oh,
With the what?
the reimbursement for your trees?
Yeah, we're all, okay. Yeah, we're fine. Renee just asked me that too. Yep, we're all good.
New business is really no new business that I'm aware of. So we'll go right into continuing business, unless you've heard of anything, Kathy. So the one thing we'll talk about a little bit is the Sweet Road Tier 3 solar project. I don't know if anybody's listened to the planning board meeting minutes, but they reviewed it a couple weeks ago. And they I don't know what the exact word I'll say approved, but I don't know if that's the right word, but basically forwarded to the town board by a vote of 5-2 affirming that should go along with or continue it, I guess. Again, I don't know what the exact word is. So it's gonna be at the town board, and Renee just said it's gonna be at the town board meeting at the next town board meeting Tuesday, I think, yeah. So I don't know if anybody's taking a look at the recent changes. But they sent a letter on May 17th of this year. And this is, if somebody wants to flip through this, this is the submittal. But they made a few changes. Let's see if I can look at them. They said they shifted, they acknowledged basically the planning board's concerns, and they addressed the open house that was at Heritage Hill earlier this year. And they said they realized the planning board had concerns about the prime impacts on prime farmland, and they made a few changes. They shifted the array layout west into the existing tree line to reduce impacts of prime farmland acreage occupied by the project, resulting in a reduction of 6.4 acres to soils identified as prime. So they did reduce that. I think you could look at the maps. It's like they shifted it west of the tree line.
Pardon me?
No, that's correct.
It has the potential.
Yeah, it is. So, and then they also shifted it
It could be fine.
into the other side of the parcel that originally was only that one parcel, and now it's on both sides, and they shifted it, so it's further. They got an agreement from the landowner to set aside acreage equivalent to in size and quality in an agricultural easement to mitigate any potential impacts on the project and prime farmland. So they've got an easement, agricultural easement to set aside prime farmland, basically. And they also consulted with the New York State Department of Ag and Markets to verify that the project won't have an unreasonably adverse effect on the continuing viability of farm enterprises within the district. Makes sense. They also, let's see, just reading a couple of things here. They revised the screening, because I think that was a concern at the open house at Heritage Hill from some of the neighbors. And they're going to use native species and arrangement of plant material that mimics the character of natural vegetation. They're also going to double this. I'm trying to read the whole thing, but basically double the vegetation in a second row of evergreen vegetation in the area around the residence abutting the project, so they kind of soften that too. So, and they did get a professional landscape architect to do the screening. So they did a number of things. I think, you know, a lot of it's in the plans there, as well as some other things that the planning board wanted, like the emergency response plan. Okay, but that was the summary that's on the website is what somebody.
Looks like there just some more details on the buffer, because I know that's something we talked about too. On the plan here, it looks like the road, so this is Sweet Road. North being down and south being up, so have fun with that.
Yeah.
The two planting areas here along the road still look like they're about maybe 1.5 trees deep. This inside corner area around that residence in the middle looks like it's about 4 to 5 trees deep.
Oh, okay.
As far as like how many redundant rows of screening there is. So I'd say it's pretty substantial, yeah, around the residence.
Oh, yeah.
Relatively thin along.
But the thing I noticed is the trees that were, they have a number of, don't go all the way around the residence house.
Because it's already a buffer picks up right there and goes the rest of the way around. It's already a hedgerow that's been there. So basically they're finishing the square around the whole parcel.
Okay, yeah. And I think I saw in here too, they moved one of the access roads away from. It's on the adjacent landowners wanting the access road away from it a little bit further.
So there's 2 access roads, it looks like now.
Yeah.
And the northern one looks relatively close to them,
Yeah,
but I don't know where it previously was, if that's considered closer or farther.
right,
away.
yeah, and I don't know if it was the northern or the southern one, I'm not sure, yeah.
So.
So maybe it's more sense to people.
It was the southern one that was closer. I'm sorry, the northern one.
Yeah, but that one is on the side of the garage. There's a
Right.
fence.
Right.
That really, there's a physical barrier
There's a-
between
Oh,
them.
okay, okay, so that's probably not as big a concern, right? Yeah.
Kind of like solid white vinyl fence.
Can you tell, I haven't had time to review the planning board either. Phil said they gave up 6 acres of prime land, if I remember right, walking it years ago. They were already cutting into the corn apples in the wetland below, so did they push it that way, or do you know which way?
Or
They
did they
pushed
just
it to
give it
give
up?
up the 7, oh, they made it smaller. Oh, that's good, I don't know the answer.
It looks like they made it smaller. They did push into the hedgerow.
Yeah, I think they said they moved it west, right, into the hedgerow.
They added more to the,
Same size.
The one site layout
Part of the thing.
Yeah.
is in a satellite image. So I don't have a lot of context for where the.
I don't remember I remember walking it and we were down in the wetland a little,
Right.
and it was gonna be right at the edge of it.
they goes into here now. And this is the tree line that we walked right there.
Okay. All right.
I don't know.
And there was nothing here before, right?
Nothing here.
Right,
Yeah,
Oh, okay, that's where they gave us.
right, so they,
Up 6 acres.
they eliminated up here, they added it over there, yeah, exactly. And then this is the wetland here,
Right.
so that it looks like they're still away from the wetland. And I think that was, I mean, some of our concerns were the wetland, the vegetation boundary. That the other concerns were, but it looks like they're addressed. So. I was like, oh yeah, so it looks like they made changes based on community comments, planning board comments. Are there any of our other?
Yeah, so this, I just want to make sure this is the right one. This is the. Strength. Sweet road. No. it's a fail by everything. What were our concerns? The wetlands.
Yeah.
View shed assessment, we didn't think that it was meaty enough that it needed, to do a little bit more work on the original view shed assessment. Vegetative buffers, we thought there was, insufficient detail. Wanted a maintenance plan. Fencing, just wanted some more information about the fencing, which I know that they addressed that, and the vegetative buffers. I know I haven't looked deeply at this, but I know that there is more view shed analysis stuff in there, but I haven't seen how much beefier it is. Let's see. We had a solar panel maintenance comment. Broken panels may present an environmental concern as they contain lead and cadmium. Thank you. Lack of a maintenance plan for that. Including a cleanup plan. That is really it. We didn't have a lot of comments on that.
Right, yeah,
So
and I haven't looked at the new. Details now there, that they included a maintenance plan or not.
yeah, I that's the only one that I think really, I don't recall seeing anything.
so here's my question. You think it's no breaks?
Was gonna what?
Breaks them. Because the solar panels, because we had solar panels in a heavily wooded area with trees way taller. And in 35 years, we never broke a panel.
Well, I'm not sure that it was a significant concern that we had, but it was
Okay.
raised a lot and.
Yeah,
so
but we had a lot of potential for limb wood from one of those bigger trees coming and hitting it and we've had heavy snow, we've had absolutely everything, ice, everything that could happen to those in a heavily wooded lot in 35 years, and they look just,
Same as that.
no.
Well, it's just the plan for, the plan, like anything, you plan for something that's happens infrequently, but you're still planning for it.
What we did is when we do some estate planning, and his first question was, so we all sit down to Thanksgiving and Thanksgiving turkey blows up, who's in charge of your estate? The likelihood of that happening is about the same.
Well,
And
Yeah, I think it's a almost negligible concern.
yeah, I agree with you.
And I would be afraid to put that idea in the minds of some of the people out there.
Because even if they did break, the limited extent of my knowledge of solar panels is that
They
there's
don't
not,
leach.
there's nothing to leak.
Correct.
Everything is a solid material. in
Correct.
fact. There's not dust that is blowing away. There's not liquids that are.
Absolutely,
or infiltrating.
absolutely correct.
So if they happen to get crushed or cracked or break, they're in solid pieces to be picked up and removed.
the thing is though, if you listen to, the open house and you listen to when people come and speak at the planning board and stuff, they are concerned about maintenance and they are concerned about the leaking and stuff. Whether or not it's,
Realistic.
has a high probability of happening, it doesn't almost really matter. You still have to plan for it just in case it does happen.
Well,
So,
part of that was, when they talked about not necessarily the panels, but whatever it's mounted on, it's moving.
right, yeah,
Looking soils, whatever, that, and then I've always maintained my concern is, a maintenance plan, but not for decommission.
right, yeah.
Because we have a few towers that
Mhm.
we're still working on.
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry, I haven't done due diligence with it, but I mean, it's. There's a tower that is sitting there and there's no incentive to take it down or get rid of it or do anything with it.
Yeah,
The end of the life cycle. The other one, it's millions and millions of dollars to put it up, and yet they set aside a few $100,000 to decommission it. And so that is my concern, looking 25 years down the line. I hope I'm still around, but I think that was the only problem I see up on Sevier Road. There was no foresight for that.
yeah.
So,
Which we did, I remember talking about, and there is a set dollar amount, I forgot what it is, but it's some number that they came up with, and I don't know who actually would review that and agree with it. I mean, what committee in the town does it? I don't necessarily think it would be us, but somebody would review that and say, is this $300,000 or whatever they're proposing for bond, is that sufficient?
well, town engineer would, I guess, come to mind, but I'm not, I just play devil's advocate because I'm dealing with a different issue.
Right, but similar.
But similar, right? Yeah.
So for our comments this time, for something like the decommissioning plan, I think we need to actually look at the decommissioning plan and make something more specific. Our comments have been general, very general. But if there's a real issue, I mean, we should try to tease that out of what's in that second.
Bearing in mind also that this is the type of structure that needs the foundations and everything else that what the towers need. The running argument in the agricultural community is when you pull a solar field out, your field is still there.
Right.
It's not like you're paving it over like all these did in Peli because that topsoil's gone forever. This, you just pull this out of the ground. There's no foundation built into it. It's not like the windmills that need all that concrete work. This is a simpler decommissioning. As long as they have a plan to get rid of the panels.
I like the way he said it though. It's a multi-million-dollar structure. A couple 100,000, 25 years from now, is that enough? I don't know who has answered
They start talking about, okay, I know these solar panels are solar panels, but now they're hazardous waste and how you dispose of that.
Yep, that's the hazardous waste part of it is the real
Would you
glitch.
say it was in it, silicon and most of the other ingredients?
There's cadmium and
There's no mercury? There's
I
no-
don't think so. No,
Okay.
no.
I think there was.
And all of that is in an inert.
Yeah, it's solid.
What am I thinking of? Substrate or whatever it is that's holding it there. It's a solid. It doesn't rinse off. It doesn't leach off.
Okay.
It's held there. So.
Also, the industry, the recycling of solar panels is in its infancy, but it will not be in its infancy in 25 years.
That's right.
It will be very highly developed.
Because those are,
This will be completely dependent.
Those are-
dependent on solar.
are elements that they want.
Right, they're gonna.
So they're gonna
want
want to try to get them back.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're not a cheap commodity.
Right.
You know, and so it has value. The biggest problem with recycling is that half the stuff we're recycling has zilch to no value. And it's different when you're putting out a commodity that actually is worth something. You know, if there were gold in there, they'd figure out a way to get that out. And this is on that level.
If the metals don't change, why do they lose their efficiency 25 years from now?
They lose some efficiency. That's another aspect of this. They're talking about 25 years as a lifespan, but that's not the real lifespan. That's at their highest capacity. After 25 years, they're at lower capacity, but they might still be at 85% capacity, 30 years from now.
They're of no use to the company. That's the.
Mine were 35 years old and still producing power.
They
yeah.
were.
So, yes,
Same amount they were.
not the same amounts, like she said, lesser efficiency, but they were there.
Okay.
And there's nothing, the panels themselves might be losing efficiency, but there's nothing to stop them from replacing them with new panels.
Right, they might-
They've got the structure right in town. They always put it in place. It's like putting a new battery in.
Trying to see them.
Better.
And that's, yeah,
That's.
and that back to what Martha said, that this is in the infancy now, but they're gonna want to reclaim some of that material. They're gonna want to. The limited commodity.
I can't speak intelligently to your point, you know, because I don't have a plan in front of me, and even if I did, I don't think I could speak intelligently. It's just a concern.
Yeah, it is a concern.
Because ultimately, it's the town that's gonna be the fall person, whether, you know, you talk about legal issues, you talk about all these things, and I maintain what's in it for the town. I just want to make sure the town is protected. I mean, that's why I'm here, that's why I'm involved, and we're trying to do that with the other stuff, and I just want to make sure that's why the law was kind of written the way it was written, and I just want to make sure that there is something in place, you know, because 25 years from now, I highly doubt Pivot Energy be around.
Okay, all I'm saying is if we're gonna make a comment, we need to actually go through
Yeah.
a full
Yeah.
proposal this time, because I don't think. We sat around, we talked about it a lot, but I think lots of pieces of it went not reviewed, and I think we could have done a better job. We could have had more direct.
Yeah.
You know, in our comments. I also felt like I was just like pulling bits of information and trying to make sentences out of them. So if we're gonna have a discussion, you know, and we want to have comments, and we've got to have a little bit of actual back and forth, because I wasn't really comfortable writing up the last two sets of comments. It's basically my, you know, how do I soften this one? How do I make so,
Yeah,
you know?
maybe we'll do like, okay, so the town board meets this next week, and then maybe we'll do is our next meeting, we'll spend a lot of time developing those comments, you know, we'll everybody grab a copy, maybe we'll come early or something and flip through them so that we can look at it. Yeah, and make a lot.
Are there other hard?
It is a lot of, no, I think it's all online, but I think where it gets a little bit tricky with me looking online, looking at all of the diagrams and all of the plans, it's like, it's hard to really make sense on the screen of this.
Right.
That's
You gotta- It's nice to flip back and forth between things, yeah.
See, here's an example. This is a hard copy, but to read all of this, you have to blow it up like 10 times.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and you can only, I can do that from a desktop, but like if it's in there, like here, you're not gonna be able to read it.
Well, one thing I would suggest is we go back to the original comments that were submitted on the original proposal and see if they've been addressed. To
Yeah,
whatever
right.
extent. And are there new issues that we want to talk about, or do we want to, you know, reiterate some of those same points, but would be a little bit more targeted and direct in what we're talking about? But I mean, that's probably a good place to start. I somewhere should be able to. I almost recovered all of the files. I'm like almost recovered all of the files on my computer. So I could probably circulate those original comments and, you know.
Yeah, that'd be good. I think I have an email that you sent originally about them, so, yeah. I really lost your file.
That's great when they work.
All right, good.
On a side note, I did find that details for the fencing around it, if it's any questions about what kind of fence is going in, 8 foot high chain link fence.
Oh, okay, great.
So that was the.
People and critters. Anything else on that?
I think the critters that we're worried about.
Your side of the buffer, will be visible from the road, I guess, 8 feet, that's getting up there.
Right, and considering that the trees they're planting are all 5 feet tall to start out with, so.
Yes, but 5 feet, you know, they could pass.
They grow fast, I mean, yeah.
5 to 8 is only 3 years at the most.
Right, yeah. The buffers are almost always on the outside.
And now that they've shifted it westward even further, you know, I think it's even gonna be less visible than it was before.
Because that field slopes.
It slopes down.
West, right?
It does, it slopes to the west, yeah, yeah. And there's not too many people going 30 miles an hour on Sweet Road. Not every time I'm on it. I tell you that. All right, anything else on pivot? Let's talk about now. All right, moving on. So the next one was the project. Yes. Woman volunteered to lead, and she got so many comments to go over tonight.
No, I have those comments.
Oh,
I mean,
I thought everybody else sent your comments and didn't copy me on them.
no. I only have, I think, like, I don't know. I haven't
I got it, I mean, yeah.
read that. Yeah, because they were your.
Thank you.
But I did the top part is
Oh, yes.
reiterating the charge, if you will, and then the links, and then Bill's inputs the half the page. Okay.
Okay, thanks, yeah.
So I guess we need to flesh these out a little more or discuss them or come up with other.
I had a question about parcel size, the first one. Is the 10 acre something that is set, or is it some by a standard somewhere, or that's what we
It's in the solar, what did I say?
overlay district?
Yeah, so it's in one of those solar documents, either the regulation or the code or something.
That a 21 acre proposal.
Something like that, I think, yeah.
Okay.
So it has to be at least 10 acres, yeah. But it's a minimum of 10 acre size.
Okay.
But what,
Well, it's the parcel size, I think, is a minimum 10 acres.
Right,
right,
Right, and
right.
not this one is,
You're right.
they're doing, their parcel size is bigger than 21 acres, isn't it? Yeah.
Right, I think it's like,
But this would be the,
I think it's like 60 acres or
Right.
something, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And so the second part of that is maximum 50% landscape cover, so if they're putting 20 acres of panels on there, they can't have a 30 acre parcel. Cause that's greater than 50%,
so
you'd have to have at least a 40 acre.
by these standards, a minimum 10 acre parcel would mean the smallest array that they could build is a 5 acre
Yeah,
array.
right, or the largest.
Right, the largest.
Okay. I just want to back up just a quick second. So Adam, last time you talked about that, you know, maybe the GIS class up at ESF can help us, you know, sort this out basically. So what how do we need to present the criteria to them? Because I just came up with some things here based on reading in our discussion. So what kind of format do we actually need to provide it in? Like,
It would literally be a list like this.
okay.
What data sets do we want to see? And it would be up to the students to see if that data set exists as a 1-for-1. Hey, they requested parcel size, so we're gonna have parcel size be one of the layers.
Oh, okay.
Or if what we're asking for is like a combination or relationship between 2 data sets, and that's up to them to, as they learn how to use GIS, to say, hey, we need to take the parcel size, but it has a minimum, 50-foot buffer from the boundary line. So they would map everything in 50 feet from the parcel line. So
Right.
we just come up with a list of what we want,
Okay.
and the class, as part of their education, figures out how to produce that.
Yeah, okay, good. Because that's a good example, because if it's 10 acres minimum, but you need to be 100 feet from a wetland, for example, then your 10 acres might now be 8 acres.
Right, so they're using 2 data sets, parcel boundaries and then wetland
Yeah,
delineation.
yeah,
That's that one answer.
Well, that's just two criteria.
Oh,
Now, there might be
the
20.
first thing, they gotta have three-phase power.
That's the only thing we're not.
That's not on here.
That's the only thing we're not looking at. Well. Well,
They won't build it unless it's near three-phase power.
yeah,
Narrowed it down
Was-
to, what, a third of the town? or-
That's-
No.
there was opposition,
Oh,
right? And part of the solution is rests with the state, basically, that they need to fund infrastructure to support solar in more areas. So in a town like the town of Pompey, which is a fairly good sized town, we're limited in
Yeah,
sites
and
that
what's
meet the
there?
criteria that are also has access to the T3. So we're not looking at the T3 thinking that that's a different fish to fry, sort of like that infrastructure needs to be developed and the state should be maybe subsidizing or doing something to promote more.
Yeah, that should be the
Access.
limiting factor.
Yeah.
yeah.
So we're dropping that out for this exercise.
okay.
Yeah.
So it's just two criteria.
No, I mean.
No, no, no.
Oh,
20,
Just
right?
10.
That's what,
can be multiple.
right, that's what our charge is, to come up with a criteria that we would like to see. Or what would make sense,
Yeah.
excluding the three-phase. And, either the solar developers or the landowners or whoever can figure that out. But we'll just look at what's a suitable parcel. They can figure out how to get power there if it's a suitable parcel, if that's what they want to do.
And we define the list that makes it suitable, the
Yeah.
soil type, the slope,
And that's what we're trying to come up with.
That's what we're trying to come up with. So these were just some thoughts. So the first one, yeah, parcel size. I should have put a citation where I saw that, but I don't remember, but somewhere in the solar code.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, the egg soils, it was a maximum 50% of prime, unique or statewide importance soils. So I assume those are somehow defined on a GIS.
Yeah.
System.
Yeah. Okay, is that-
So again, I think so, like the one that Pivot just did, that's why they moved some of it out of the prime area. Now, I don't think they were over the 50%, but again, to try to alleviate those concerns, they moved it out of the prime soils area. I think it's prime or not. Wetlands, 100-foot buffer. Now, I think Pivot had 100-foot buffer and what we were looking at. I can't remember if they did it or not, but I know they didn't encroach on the wetlands, but on the 100-foot, I can't remember. The thing is, I think we're still to make this as a criteria, but you can mitigate for wetland impacts too. So if you're just in, if there was just one little fishtail or something that's going into your project, they could mitigate for that and create 3 acres of wetlands over here for this 1 acre that they're impacted. And so but I think that's too complicated to try to put that into an analysis. So I think just that 100-foot buffer would be the easiest thing right now.
Right,
Mhm.
because project by project would determine if they even need to do
Right.
remediation or not.
Right, yeah. I think that's probably criteria.
Well, what's interesting is that in 2025, I think, all the criteria, the state criteria for regulating wetlands will change. And so, you could have a very, very small isolated wetland. And if the state thinks that there's reason to protect it, you'll be precluded from going anywhere near that wetland where right now you're not. So I mean, it has nothing to do with right now, but it's just all of this stuff is just,
Yeah. Right, yeah, because right now the state is like 12 acres, 12.4 acres for wetland, yeah. Slopes, and there really is no net, I tried to look online, it's like, where can they build solar panels? But they pretty much can put them any place. It's just how much money you want to pay. So I mean, because I looked at some sites and they said, well, the 45% slope is they can build it, but again, how much do you want to pay? So I'm wondering if we want to, I don't know if there's a way to do that twice, like, slopes like lower slopes, 0 to 20%, 0 to 15. I don't know what the number would be, and then maybe 20 to 40. I can't imagine them wanting to really build much over 40.
Back to the egg soils.
Okay.
That can give us a couple different sets of information. First of all, the condition of the agricultural potential of the soil. So, prime farmland, for example. But I believe GIS also has a data set that will tell you how prone the soil is to erosion if the vegetation is removed.
Oh, okay, okay.
So that's probably where slope would come into play is this prone to erosion if we were to remove the current vegetation cover, whether it's a hayfield, scrub brush, or like established forest.
Yeah,
It'll tell you if it is low, medium, or high risk to erosion.
okay.
And that's a combination of the slope, but also what the soil is, sandy versus clay versus.
Right.
So
So how do we put that as a criteria? Do we,
forever, you've got it all coded.
do like say
Slopes.
0 to 20 or
Yeah.
any
It's an
type of
AGL.
soil, and then 20 to 40 only low erosion soil?
HEL and other stuff.
Yeah.
Zero to 15 and then anything over 15% in terms of slope. Right, because once we get to that 15%, you're talking,
But they still-
so just as a general, right, 0 to 15, this could be
Okay.
relatively flat.
Take your
easier
word for it.
and up. So if we do something like that, we can break down.
Yeah,
Where they put all the contours on there, so you
And
can.
then could we do separate?
Yeah.
Yep, that was soil and water.
Look at the soils. So we've got, just the general soils, and then
Put out-
if we need to, we can then overlay the, they can maybe, is this the hydrologic soils that you're looking at?
I feel.
Probably, yeah.
So that then we just see where they match up down the line, but keep them as.
Yeah.
yeah, that's a good idea.
You're amazing.
Back to that slope topic again, something that isn't listed on here is what's called aspect, and that's the direction the slope is facing.
Right.
So if it's a north facing slope, that would take it out of the running, because it's not gonna get a whole lot of sun.
Right.
So aspect is another layer or data set that would be included here.
So how would we tell them that when they're doing this thing? So if we have a north facing slope. Not to consider that, I mean, would you say that or?
So I don't know how familiar everyone is with GIS, but basically there's a library of data sets, like we talked about earlier, land cover, parcel maps and things. And then there's a set of language that you type in to create an equation.
Mhm.
And an equation, and it's a combination of language and math, so to speak. And you say, this data set plus this data set plus this data set. And you type out that whole equation and it'll spit out a map for you.
Perfect.
But if you want what was the example you just were asking about?
Like
Yeah, north facing. So you would say, show me all of the east plus west,
Oh, okay.
south facing slopes minus the north facing slopes.
Gotcha, okay.
And you can assign colors to those. So you say these first three, make them all green,
Mhm.
have north come up red. Equals, and then spits out a map that has these red spots of all the north facing slopes. So you take data sets, put them into an equation, and then it will spit out.
Yeah, and then you can layer them all on top of each other, so when you come out, you've got like one spot in top and you can put a
Yes.
solar.
Yeah, and that's what they would do is when you make those small equations, it creates layers, and then those layers you can then put into an equation. To say like, stack up all these data layers I just specified,
Yeah,
and then once you combine those, you can say any conflicts is another command, like erase
oh,
conflicts.
okay,
And then it'll come up with a final map that says, these are your 3 spots that fit, all of your criteria.
It won't be ecstatic if it's 3.
Right.
right, yeah,
So that's the purpose of the whole class, is teaching students how to
yeah, this is a
control.
great project for it.
Yeah.
You can sell this to me, man.
He was my professor, so hopefully he listens to me.
All right, good. So slopes, that sounds good. Then 0 to 15, and then 15 and above based on soils. And adding in aspects. Okay. But I forgot where I saw this too, but I don't think they can build in a 100-year floodplain. I think I saw that in one of the solar codes or e-codes or something.
It's true for most infrastructure projects, not
Yeah.
here. It's normal.
Threatened and endangered species, this one, I don't really know if there's anything we can do about that because. I mean, we have like the northern long-eared bat around here and stuff, and so it's all over the place. So it's hard, you just have to mitigate for it, a lot of these things. So, you can cut the trees, but you just have to either do it in off season or whatever. So. I don't know if there's anything we really can put as a criteria for it. And same as historic archaeological sensitive areas. They're there, even the one with the Frank Long project, there was a lot of historical little sites and they just either try to avoid them. And I don't know, worst case, you can take them up and move them someplace else. I know it's been done in projects before too. And logging. That's it. So
I'll add 10 years to a project.
well, yeah. And the other thing is that it's hard to identify those areas. I know, like, because the state doesn't want to tell you where they are, because then people go
Right,
disturb them.
yeah.
So both the threatened things and endangered things as well as historical sites. So they try to. It's on a need to know basis. They tell you that something's in the area, but they don't tell you exactly where it is unless you absolutely have to work.
So
in that
then we
area.
should eliminate that one, probably. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, I listed them, but I don't know if there's anything we really can do with them as far as criteria.
I don't think that within the town of Pompey, there are any like designated, what are they? Unique areas.
Right.
Or anything like that.
I looked on your map, the GIS map, and there was one in Manlius, I think,
And I think
and maybe one in,
there's a very small area, Old Fly Marsh.
oh, okay, yeah,
Over there, there's one with has a yellow trillium.
Yeah,
something
okay.
In the woods over there.
like Clark Reservation, I think has something too. Again, they don't pinpoint it because they don't want people picking these things and
Right.
stuff.
Right.
Yeah, but yeah, I think you're right. I didn't see anything on that map and when I did the GIS thing.
Unless like after the fact, I mean, we could maybe throw something in that just, shows layers with, parks and places based on local knowledge, like over near, Fly Marsh.
Old Fly by definition isn't gonna be put in here because it's a wetland.
Right, so it'd be excluded. from
It's
that.
excluded on other bases.
Right, well, and they still have to go through the whole secret process and stuff too, so they're still gonna have to identify this on their own. This is just something to give us a big picture of what, and so, yeah, I think we can exclude those. Yeah,
The historical
yeah,
also.
yeah.
And what did we say about floods? Because
I don't think you're allowed by code to build there anyways.
anyway,
Well,
Yeah.
well, I think we want to avoid the 100-year floodplain, yeah, I think.
so it's good to have it in
Yeah, so,
there.
yeah, I think we want
just
that
for
criteria.
visual,
Right,
yeah.
right, I think we want to have it in there so that there's no question. I love the toughest ones, the last population, at least the criteria that I thought were tough. Like, I mean, it could be 50 feet away from somebody's house and they don't want it, so. I don't know, it's, there's. Do we
Not
want
gonna
to
get
do
past the planning board.
I mean, do we want to say 100 foot from any residential place or?
The solar overlay probably has. Solar overlay law probably has that.
I don't think I saw that. I mean, they have setbacks, from the side, the front, and back, but I don't think there was something as far as residential. I don't believe so.
Yeah, that would be hard, because if you're the neighbor. Say 100, we could say 200 feet, you're not gonna, if somebody doesn't want it.
It's right,
Right.
1,000
is
feet,
it
not enough. Yeah.
Just to show residential.
And that we could do,
buildings.
that we could do,
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Maybe that's what we do is we show residential
Building
buildings,
footprints.
yeah,
Okay.
just residential building.
Instead
I don't
of
know.
population.
Right,
do
right.
it.
Yeah. I don't think you'd be as concerned about industrial or commercial businesses, but more residential. And that might be more for information only, like we've got these 3 prime spots now, but there's,
You can see 8 houses are completely.
Right.
Surrounding.
Yeah.
Sites.
yeah, so it'd be an information thing, but not a deal breaker necessarily. View shed.
There's a stickler.
Yeah, I mean, of course, the state has their scenic highways like Route 20 and stuff. But then there's a lot of them, and I think that Nancy Furtuck was here. a couple of meetings ago and she talked, that was a different meeting, but she talked about designating county roads basically, or town roads as scenic roads. Which is a lengthy process, potentially. But this is kind of subjective too. I mean, what somebody thinks is, I mean, there's certain ones, again, the state has Route 20 as a scenic road. I don't know if there's any other state ones in Pompey or not. But, yeah, I don't know. Is there anything else that shows scenic on?
I don't know if there's specific a data set in GIS that would address that or not, because it is subjective.
Yeah.
Unless there is like a county or state overlook location, like the top of Tinker's Falls, the hang glider overlook, like that would be designated as an overlook location.
Yeah.
But as far as designating what you're looking at as being worthy of protecting or not, I don't believe GIS would help us come up with that.
So I guess, there's even some in the comp plan, they have some maps that were developed using digital elevation models. So you can see where you have like high ridges taken by itself, or even high points can be identified. It doesn't give you a lot, but maybe if you overlay it with, I don't know, maybe roads, forests, I'm not sure. But I mean, if you're looking for view sheds, you're probably gonna be the higher points in the town,
King Delphi Valley and that area up there, that's, where they've got the. I'm having troubles and struggling thing, remembering the name of that road.
Before coming down number 5 road. By Frizzy's and.
Yeah, and there's also, or up on top by number 4, we go up there just to watch the fireworks without having to hear the
Yep.
and the one where the what is that, the weather's, what is that thing out there?
The laser. crystal?
Yeah.
Oh,
That overlook into the big,
laser.
into link.
There's 2 lasers across the valley. For testing.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, there is that one scenic road. I mean, would that be on GIS Route 20? Would that be on GIS like the scene?
I don't know.
Maybe we could leave that on there, is that at least have that as a corridor?
So what about if we take like a DEM, right? And we put it on an aerial photo. I mean, so now you can see, okay, here are the high points, and you could look down and say, oh yeah, but look, there's, this is all forested. Oh, but look, looking at the actual visual, you could say, yeah, but if you're standing here, you could look out here, you've got a clear shot. And maybe it would take a little bit of work. It wouldn't, but there might be a way to do that. It might not be part of this class.
Yeah.
But
So then
What's actually,
what's the layer with the forests and stuff with that
Land cover
land cover?
or vegetation cover.
actually, I think the view shed would be something that we would, after they came up with sites, then we look at that.
Right.
yeah,
Yeah, because trying to put it in first, it's too subjective for the criteria, but once we have
A few places.
a few places we can say, oh, yeah, we're not looking at anything here.
Right.
Or
Have an elevation layer.
Yeah, if you do the topography layer, I give you elevation.
And the
point.
land cover layer.
Yeah, that's true. You could add the topography, like that shows you the contours, the land contours, right? So you could see.
the
Whether
other
it's gonna
side,
be-
if it's at the top of the hill, nobody else is looking at it either. So for
Except
all
you
the,
could see up at it, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think solar farms are bad to look at.
I know, right.
Pretty cool when I drive by them.
There's worse things, right? Yeah,
oh, boy, are there worse things.
yeah,
They're expanding the Seneca Falls
yeah,
landfill.
yeah.
That's worse.
Yeah.
It's already. It's really close, but they're expanding it.
Okay,
Topography and land cover, that would be 2 separate layers.
Yeah.
right?
yeah. And then I had listed on there zoning districts only because it's not permitted in zoning districts are R40, HC and HR. And to be honest with you, I ran out of time when I was doing this and I didn't go back to see where those are, what those are.
Does anybody know what?
I don't know off the top of my head which ones those are. But they gotta be defined in the E code someplace.
Our 40 is. Something like Polly Pines, I'm thinking.
Oh, yeah, it's like a subdivision.
Development.
That's, I'm going from my memory, check me on that.
R is residential, so it's all these yellow areas.
Okay,
R40 is residential 40, so it's something having to do with utilities. They're on municipal sewage or something. I think Renee was describing. It's still residential, but they have some services.
Oh, okay.
HC is Hamlet Commercial, so.
It would be
big
Waterville.
areas.
And then
Okay.
Hamlet
And then-
residential.
And then, yeah, Hamlet Residential.
So is the regular R, is that no services like sewer and?
Right, that means you're on a well and the
Okay.
septic system and.
so I wonder, would we be able to get that? Oh, that's man, that's handy. Would we be able to get that? To give it to the GIS people?
Probably. So it's just from the county planning agency, so it's probably on our county
Okay,
website.
so we might be able to give that right to them. See, that's a start. Look at that. We got a start, first start.
There we go.
No, I just need about 10 more layers on it. So, and I looked at some of those things.
Can they do it in a semester?
Yes, I looked at some of the other links that,
Becomes a graduate program.
that Adam said, and like one of them was remediation sites and. But I don't know if that's really a concern now, because actually, like they put a lot of these on landfills, because you like to put them there because they're not useful for anything else.
Why not?
Right,
They don't have disturbing
Yeah.
patients.
right, exactly. They use,
Yep.
yes, right. So,
Not stirring anything up. Nobody can do anything with it anyway.
Yeah.
so I didn't see.
Oh,
anything
and
else.
across from your house, no.
So I didn't see anything else from the links that you sent. I tried to look at all the different layers. I might have missed some, but I didn't.
Water bodies, is that land covered? Would that be under, that's not under land?
I think it's under wetlands, isn't it?
Well, we got 100 feet from wetlands, but I don't know if you have anything from a water body.
Like a river or stream or.
Right, yeah. Yeah,
There should be buffers from
Right.
those, I guess, to bodies of water.
body of water, yeah, that's a good point, yeah.
If it's 12 acres, but Limestone Creek runs through it, then yeah,
Right.
it takes it out of the.
It takes out a couple acres of it or whatever, right, yeah.
That's land for sure.
Any other thoughts from anybody, any other criteria that, because we've kind of discussed things a lot, and also we've gone to the open houses and we've done the walkthroughs.
Roads.
Roads
Yeah.
to put on as a layer. Not necessarily as a criteria, though.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. Yeah, it'd be good to have a layer, that's true.
This was really interesting, this one, DEC, with the wells and stuff.
Yeah.
Because, I was looking on my road and they only have the properties that were built more recently. The well information must have been submitted for those. Ours was dug in 1959. So it's not even on there, like yours isn't on there, but all the ones that were the subdivided fields and they're on there. It was just interesting.
Yeah, right.
Making a comment.
No,
Look at.
I thinking it was the eighties when the well driller regulations went into. I think it was the eighties.
Yeah, I don't know what
I'm sure
happened
they-
on our road in the eighties. I know most of those things happened in the 90s or the 2000s, really.
The newer house.
Yeah. The pursue sex and the all the way down.
So you haven't dug well?
I mean, a drilled well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like for
Yeah,
at our place up here, the new one we just had to do for the farm is on there, but my house is not on there. My parents' house as well is not on there. And those are,
it's interesting too to see the different well depths because like I think ours is like 120 feet and then I see ones that are 250 feet,
yeah.
There's
6 acres over.
Right.
There's an aquifer that runs on our driving range, and as you enter the club, their wells are about 75 feet. 200 yards from there, my father tried to drill a well at the end of our first fairway. Went down 720 feet and came up with.
Wow.
Wow.
Inexpensive.
That's, if you want to get them upset, just remind them.
Just
about
about
that.
So I was thinking,
Well, at the end of the first hole.
I was thinking maybe they were going deeper to avoid some of the water quality issues. We have like iron and everything, but then it might have just been to get to water.
Yeah.
Well, we even.
The sulfur
We
and.
have the
I
25.
always thought the deeper you went, the more frozen you were.
Oh, really?
That's.
It's funny, it's funny because at Travis's house, the one that he bought right next door,
Look at those two.
There's a
somehow
lot of folks in.
they went down 165 feet and they got sulfur. And when he bought the house, it was drilled before he bought the house. And he moved in and it was sulfur. And I said, well, that's just stupid. The aquifer is 25 feet underneath us and it's great water.
Right.
So we brought in another well driller and he said, drill him another well. 25 feet, 30 gallons. Because that's where the aquifer is on that, in the 91 valley, it's only 30 feet down, 25 to 30 feet down, and it's got tons of water, tons of it. And
Good water.
yeah, it's really good. water.
I know.
So much water treatment going on at our house.
We got lucky with the new house too,
Yeah.
but we had Sue Andrews come in. Ed's dad was a dowser, so we kind of go with that.
Yeah.
And
Which is absolutely something to.
yes, and she picked a spot and told us at about 110 feet, we should have all the water we wanted. And at 98, they hit 3 gallons a minute, but she was looking at us and said, I want to go another 20 feet. He says the worst, and he didn't know what Sue had said. And he said, the worst thing that can happen is you have 20 feet of reserve.
Sure.
So 17 feet at 115 feet, we hit 30 gallons a minute.
Nice.
And it's not sulfur. Sue was
It's not.
so damn accurate. And it was, yeah,
That's cool.
it is, Ed's dad was. What can be done with that is amazing.
So I took us down a road we didn't need to go down. It was an interesting.
Yeah.
It is interesting.
That, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, but
I enjoyed that lane path.
but a lot of the,
Yeah.
a lot of the well drillers around here will know where, like, that same ridge that Ridge Road is on. If you're up at the north end, so it's 20, you're okay, but you get down into Fabius and they gotta go hella distances and they'll get sulfur. So they know what, they've drilled a lot of wells, they know what's under there.
Okay, we'll keep moving those. So yeah.
Sorry.
Go home. That's okay. We'll just
What's our next thing?
Well, does anybody have any more questions or comments on the criteria? So
Solar overlay laws about setbacks,
oh, okay, yeah.
and it says a minimum of 200 feet in a residential or hamlet district. It's a setback. But it also says the zoning board of appeals at its discretion may vary the required dimensional setback of 200 feet to minimize environmental. So the zoning board of appeals may vary the setback to 100 feet or 200 feet from the nearest habitable building, whichever distance is more restricted. Does look like I'm reading that right. It's 200.
200 for residential, yeah, yeah.
So what it would do in GIS is you would say the layer for all the residential locations plus a 200-foot buffer and would put a 200-foot radius on all of them. And if that radius crossed into one of the parcels, it would take it off the list.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be good, yeah.
Should I add that? as
Just
that
a 200-foot radius
For the residential buildings one,
Yeah, yeah,
radius of what did you say?
around each or from centered on each residential location.
Okay.
Not sure if it's 200 feet though.
Yeah.
It's that's in the hamlet and then,
I'll take a picture and try and figure it out. Yeah.
I'll go through my solar stuff.
And Pam, those links for that mapping is gonna be more general than what the GIS software can do. So if you don't see all of those options on the maps, don't feel like you're not seeing something.
Oh,
So-
yeah. Well, this is what they're gonna build for
Yeah,
us.
I
Yeah.
just didn't know if you're gonna try to go back and like,
Oh, no, I'm just gonna edit the list here to That's what we talked about.
Yeah, sounds, I'm like, that's not all gonna be on those public matters.
No.
Yeah. You get a picture?
And this is the Pompey.
Yeah,
Solar.
yeah. Fine. Yeah, I mean, yeah. I'm just trying to think if. Much would be kicked out, I mean, because it does say like 100 foot for resident, commercial farm stuff that I can't imagine, I don't know. I'm gonna say I can't imagine that many being excluded because of the extra 100 feet, but who knows?
Well, I thought it was 100 feet, but the planning board can make it up to 200 feet.
Well, it looks like it's 100 foot for commercial.
So maybe they can put like
farm.
a shaded area from 100 to 200.
Yeah,
So you know. if you're
Measurement
in.
property line or building line? Like, where did they take that measure?
yeah.
It's a radius, so I would think it'd be from
Well,
the
probably,
center,
yeah,
wouldn't it? I mean, that's what radius is.
yeah, but that's not really, is that what that says? That's more of a setback from the building, so it might be from the perimeter of the building. I think.
Is that pertaining to the hamlet? Because I know hamlets are a little different than.
It says hamlet or.
What page is that?
11.
That is on the website too, if you can find it. That's always the key, is being able to find something. There's a lot of stuff on there. It's just, I mean, it's there. It's not that hard to find. It's just a couple of solar things that. Anything else on that? Right, you? Just a couple other things. I know it's already 8 o'clock now. Just a couple other things I wanted to go over. Short-term rentals, I don't know if you have any updates on it. That's fine. Some project updates, webpage, I don't have any updates, but it's fine. It goes quick. Birthday,
Yes, no.
okay, great.
I do want us to get going on it.
Yeah,
Get going on it. So I've been talking to the people who participated this year and some other people too. So, I'm gonna be meeting with, BR Ray
Mhm.
and Teresa Osborne, who's the highway clerk, to talk about, parking and
Oh, yeah.
traffic flow during the event. That was a little bit clumsy this year.
Yeah.
And maybe not so safe with cars turning in and stopping right away, trying to figure out where to go. I've already talked to and lined up some of the people that we had the past year, at Habitat Gardening and Burned. I've talked to some new people, like Audubon. The Audubon Society is gonna be here and do a table.
Okay.
John Harrington is going to reach out to science classes at Thaddeus Pompey and see if Peter Wilder, who's a science teacher over there, can get something going in the science classes to participate somehow. And I suggested he also reach out to the Boy Scouts.
I talked to,
You did.
yeah, because Donnie was over. So I grabbed him. I mean, Donnie Chrysler, when I'm feeding him donuts, I can ask questions. And
Who is he?
he's the head of the Boy Scouts in Pompey.
He's the scoutmaster.
Donnie Chrysler's scoutmaster.
Okay.
And they'll probably be coming around for their Halloween flashlight night or whatever that they're doing, so I get a little leverage there. And ask them if they want the kit, I told them, I said, we need help with both with parking and with general help around there.
And like, what do you say, bottle.
Can drive, because that's a big.
Bottle cans, I love
He
that.
collects them now, he collects them outside of the shop, so.
Yes.
Boy Scouts, so he might as well. The thing is, he's gotta commit though, Polly, when you.
I know Donnie, I know him really well.
Otherwise.
The only way you commit him is if you've got his arm shoved up between his shoulder blades and it's kind of hard.
Well, the only reason I say that though is that because if we put it on the flyer and people bring bottles and cans, and then he's not there to take them.
Need a firm commitment.
Yeah.
I will
Yeah.
try that because I will be seeing. him
Otherwise,
this
we're
month.
not putting it on the flyer.
I know, for the flyer. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I will try that this month because I'm quite sure I'm going to be seeing him. They come every year.
Yeah, there's,
So,
that would be good. That would be a good,
well, he's a hard man to nail down and I understand that.
yeah.
And I have some nailable situations, so I can try that. And I did think of it when the last time he was through. I think he was working on my skid steer at the time, but yeah.
Now we have a specific gas.
Now yes, and this is what I needed. And bottled in cans, that's up his alley.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
That is so up his alley. Perfect.
Would there be? Okay.
Also going to, I also talked to a guy named Barry Carr, who is, in a small, he's with, Clean Communities of CNY, which is a very small advocacy organization funded partially by the Department of Energy. It's in the, Center of Excellence building. That's you, I think I see all of it.
Well, Center of Excellence.
Like the one downtown,
Okay,
like
that's
the technology
On
building?
Erie Boulevard. That one.
It's a little bit off Erie.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not familiar with it, but that doesn't matter. Go ahead.
So
Anyway,
anyway,
that's what it's called, the windows.
It's where wasn't it where the Singer sewing or whatever sewing machine company there was demolished and then they built that anyway.
That tech garden thing, like over, yeah, like it's got
No.
a slopey thing.
Yeah, that.
Yeah, that one they had to replace all the
Yeah.
windows in and redo a couple times before it worked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
anyway, that's where they're
Okay.
located, and he is, what they do is focus on alternative fuel.
Oh, okay.
So what they do when they do a tabling is get a lot of EVs to show up.
Oh,
So
nice.
that people can just go and look at EVs and plugins and maybe take drives in them. And then he talks about EVs and he talks about hydrogen too. He's big into hydrogen. So that'd be a different addition, another addition. He's confirmed his participation.
Awesome.
Food truck, I got email out to her. She was interested in doing it again, but I haven't heard back from her yet. I'm gonna meet with the highway department and get things fleshed out. I'm also gonna think about some finance.
Okay,
Reviewers.
yeah, good. Excellent.
Would there be any interest, do you think, in having something related to composting,
Oh, that's a good idea.
Always.
like at home composting? It's a hurdle for whatever reason. I just can never get over for myself. I'm looking to do that. And then I have someone say, oh, there was a snake in ours. And I'm like, okay, never mind that, or, like, whatever. But it's for some reason, I'm
When the
looking for,
raccoons come in and raid the place.
yeah, I'm looking for information. And so I can't imagine I'm the only person who would like to do something like that, but just can't
Maybe,
quite. pull
maybe
the-
Okra.
So I
yeah,
was just gonna
something.
say, does Okra?
They might have some information, like, you get the monthly, there's like a monthly newsletter Okra sends out.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a contact in there that,
Cornell Cooperative Extension
oh, that's another one,
is
yeah.
probably your best bet to get somebody to come out to talk about
But
compost.
I've seen Okra at events.
But do they talk about home composting or are they?
They have their
talking about
composting
their?
program.
Yeah, they've got those two big sites and one down the road. And
Yeah, but it still wouldn't hurt to have them.
But if you, maybe Cooperative Extension though, would be talking more about
Yeah.
at-home composting and
Yeah.
they were going to come last year. And then at the last minute, she backed out, got a better gig, I think.
Mm.
So.
Popular days for
Yeah.
all these folks. First days, kind of their busy day.
They sort of owe us on that one.
Who'd you talk to, Ray?
Oh, I forget who I talked to.
I was thinking Dave Sceville's the executive.
Yeah.
Dave's ahead of it,
What's
yeah.
Dave put me in touch with this woman.
Oh, okay.
New. And I didn't know her.
Yeah.
But she was all gung ho and then she was like, oh, I have to go somewhere else.
Oh, no.
Okay.
Mm.
Yeah,
You can leave Dave's. contact
Yeah.
information.
since he's lives right down in Pompey, or.
Yeah, he does.
He could, he has a vested interest in that.
I could
Thanks, me.
tied something into like food waste.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
No, that's a good idea, yeah.
I just saw a really interesting presentation at a food bank at the food bank conference I went to. It was on food waste, and it was a guy. He's based out of, I guess, and it was just really great. I'm not saying he would be available, but I can kind of look at that information again. If that would be just to tying that to incentivize people to compost at home if they have the inclination, because it was pretty hard hitting
Yeah.
presentation.
Yeah, good.
About
Sounds good.
waste, yeah.
Yeah, because especially if we've tried extension once. You know, this might be somebody who's a little more vested.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Extension tends to be spread really thin and they don't really do what they used to do. I love the poster, Adam.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, it looks nice.
Thank you.
Good
Yeah.
job on it.
So yeah, the next thing was seasonal contest, the poster. Yes, nice job, Adam.
Well done.
Thank you. Yeah, I got, you all saw it. I sent it to Nikki to print. I'm not sure if it is printed yet or not. I checked around real quick out there to see if there was a stack of them. I didn't see any, but I'm sure they're behind the window.
I'll have to
Yeah, yeah.
some time, but I'd have printed it out myself, but I haven't got my printer hooked up to talk to my laptop in the new location. yet.
Yeah, to put them at
They're
like
not discussing
you
it.
guys mentioned last time, at like your place, Casey's, and you know, the places where people.
I'd love to have it. I've got them there for pumpkins.
Yeah, yeah. John did tell me he sent them to his contact to Fabius Pompey, so he's hoping they're gonna get disseminated between our middle school kids, so that would be good, because you know, it's really kind of somewhat targeting the younger kids.
I'd love it.
So,
Laminated, stick it up for this weekend.
I just checked.
They're all gonna be inside when it's raining anyway. They can look at it. I can copy.
I'll follow up with.
yeah, yeah.
I just can't pull it off.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So,
But yes,
yeah, on there.
but it was, somebody saw in the neighborhoods group that you posted, and I put it on the Fabius Pompey.
Is it up at the mall yet? At the Pompey Mall? Anybody put it there?
No.
Well, if I can get this copied, I'll get it up at the mall.
Yeah, that'd be good, yeah.
And I mean, you can put it in the post office, but not that many people go in there
Yeah, the
anymore.
last time I put it there, I put it in the Pompey Mall, I put it in the
Yeah.
dollar store.
In the Dollar General.
Dollar
Okay.
General, yeah. So that's another place that,
I messaged the Lelikowskis to see if they would put them up at their two spots.
oh, yeah,
And I messaged the Andrew brothers to see if they would put it up at their,
okay, good,
I haven't heard back yet, but I just did that this morning.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
we'll see what they say.
yeah. But you're right, any place that sells pumpkins or whatever, that's a good spot to put it. So, all right, good. That's about it.
And one thing you have the natural resource inventory.
Oh, I'm sorry, I said
That's
that.
okay.
I'm so sorry, Kathy. Yeah,
Last time we talked about the list of figures in the comp plan.
yes,
And so I went through them and there are a lot of them that can be updated. There might not be a lot of change, but there's newer data. That, you know, we can pop into some of these. But there were also a lot of additional maps that I think probably we could add to this list. All of the maps that are in the comp plan, basically, they're part of the countywide mapping, so you could go on to SATPA and you could blow up on Pompey and you could just, you know, to get it. Renee had printed off this set of maps for me and everything is yellow. I mean, it's like, everything is yellow.
yeah,
So there's very little, you know, definition. I was thinking, what I'd like to do is to first talk with some of the folks down at SATPA and see if they could print us up revised maps with the newer data.
Mhm.
And then maybe throw in some more new maps. And at least have them all nice and consistent. They would only be hard copy maps, but it would be, if that's our first step in this process,
right,
you know, that's an easy first step to do. Some of the things I was thinking we might want to add in: conservation easements, utility right of ways, land use, watersheds. We've got wetlands in here. There's newer wetlands, but there are no federal wetlands. You know, just water bodies, lakes, streams, rivers, active and inactive landfills, dumps, transfer stations, brownfields, oil and gas wells. sort of limited, I think, on what we could get there, but it wouldn't be bad to have lines, new and oil and gas pipelines. I think I already said that in here, but so there are a lot of, if we're just looking at straight maps, and that was what we said, within the initial focus, I think we could do better than what we have. And I think we could probably get some help from some folks and have a nice consistent set of maps.
That would be great.
What I can do is I'll send everybody this list of additional maps and the ones in here that I've noted that can be updated. And if you have any other thoughts, then let me know and I'll add it to the list and
Okay,
take
yeah.
it to some folks down in Saukba and see if they would do
And what
that.
is that?
Syracuse Onondaga County Planning Agency,
Syracuse
Onondaga County.
County Planning.
So say we updated all
I
these
didn't know
maps
that.
with new
That's what it
information
is.
and additional maps that weren't in there before. I wonder, could we go to I don't know how this works, but could we take the master plan and put an asterisk by it and say, see updated maps and here and have a whole file of updated maps?
Well, it sort of begs the question then, do you have to update the entire?
Right, that's what I'm wondering, yeah. Or can you just do the updated maps or could you have to update the whole master plan?
Yeah.
Which is a whole,
That gets,
yeah.
that's a lot more difficult and involved, but
It'd be nice to have updated information though, so when somebody's looking at it, they could look at something that's current rather than 20 years old.
right.
Because that's what the master plan is. I think it's like 20 years old. Or
And I
20.
Some of the maps with the updated data, you're not gonna see a lot of changes, so
Yeah.
maybe some minor modifications in some of the narrative in the plan might be easy to do in association with the updated maps.
Yeah,
Not a full-fledged,
right. You could just, like any document, just put a table of contents, the addenda, what you changed, page 6, and whatever. That might be a way of doing it. If I don't know what the approval process is for the master plan, so that if it's got to go to the boards and all that stuff, then it might not be that easy.
probably does, because it's probably costly.
Yeah.
But for a first step, to keep it moving, at least get this stuff updated.
Yes,
and
right,
Get it
right.
current and maybe throw in a couple of other goodies and just have a packet of maps.
Yeah. It would be great if we could get the electronic file too, if we could get that.
Yeah.
As well, then at least we'd have it.
The issue is, I don't think that we can do anything with it at the town level because they don't have an active GIS. They have access to the county
Right, I see what you're
mapping,
saying, yeah,
but
so,
they don't do any data manipulation or
Yeah.
anything with it. I think they should.
so the hard copy is as good as it's gonna get.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah,
Well,
well,
hard copies always used to work.
Well, they still do.
yeah, it's.
Still do, and then that's all that they're gonna be.
It's a little more unwieldy and less
Yeah.
accessible, but if it's the best we can do without throwing the whole deck of cards in the air and
Yeah.
making it all over,
And something that has, I'm trying to find a good example of one. So this, senators, I found a whole bunch of them this afternoon and I was like, oh my God, this could absolutely be improved upon. It's not a good example. That's a terrible example. Okay, this is topography.
Oh,
What does that tell
yeah.
you?
it tells me nothing.
Nothing.
Nothing, right, yeah.
Everything is yellow.
Yeah,
And I don't know if it was just a function of the printer or
Right, yeah.
what, but
I think that so the water maps would give you a better idea. At least it would have elevation lines.
okay, no, I think that's a great start. That's
But it's a good
that's a great start, yeah.
anyway,
Sorry to miss you, I don't know how I missed it.
I forgive you.
Agenda. Anything else anybody wants to discuss? Okay, well, thank you all. Our next meeting is November 2nd. Sounds chilly.
It's gonna be great.
Maybe we'll hope for another 80-degree day on November 2nd.
I won't be here.
Oh, okay. All right,
Have a
well, that's
good
it.
trip.
Well, thank you all.
Wherever you're going.
Yeah.
Thank
thanks,
you.
everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks for taking the notes.